Is it going?
It's going. Hi, Brooke.
Hi.
Thank you.
Please.
Hi. It's so nice to be at your home and in your art studio.
Thank you.
We met at a lunch, which was appropriately for Better After 50, a group of women, 30 women gathering at a friend's house who were
All of whom were over 50, I would say.
over 50.
At least.
And with the intention of sharing just the day and their lives a little bit. And so you were so gracious and open about being interviewed for a series that I'm doing for Better After 50 on inspiring women over 50. You qualify.
Yes, by quite a few years I qualify, yeah.
So today I want to ask you a few questions, and
Okay.
I'm going to walk away so that we can just focus on you, Brooke.
All right.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about your past
Okay.
and what I knew about you when I came to the luncheon, and what I've learned about you, even in the few moments since I walked into this studio. So I'm going to move away and we can just talk to you. Brooke, tell us a little bit about your acting life. What maybe were the joys of those early years?
Okay, well, the joys are a little harder to ferret out, but I started acting when I was a little girl at my father's summer theater, and I loved acting. I never went to college. I just assumed I was going to act. In high school, I did a guest spot on a TV show, and then I did a series at 16 in Los Angeles. And so I didn't go to college, but I started working as a waitress, as all actors have to, and ended up leaving on a trip with my sister to Europe, and I ended up in Spain, where I stayed for 4 years because I didn't know what to come back to. I didn't have college. So those were sort of my college years, learning Spanish and learning about Spain. Came back to New York and started auditioning, pounding the pavements, and I was pretty lucky in my career, even though you spend 75% of your time looking for work. It's not fun. And auditioning, which is just hideous. Trying to make people like you, it just sets you up, and especially as a woman, it's such a setup for, everything, for being abused sexually, for everything.
Well, that was a question I wanted to ask later, but I think I'll just jump in right now. When you think about Brooke Adams' career, if you were starting today, it's 2019, as a mentor or having known the acting profession, what would you tell that younger Brooke, or what would you tell young actors today? What would you maybe do differently, or any advice that you would have?
Well, I think it's very different now. It used to be that you actually had an agent who worked for you. That doesn't exist anymore. Agents work for the producers. You now have to have an agent, a manager, a lawyer, and none of them do anything. Well, the lawyers negotiate the deals. So what I see happening much more, and it's because of the internet and all of that, people creating their own projects. And there are so many places that you can put projects, if they're good, online streaming, that there's no reason not to if you have the talent.
So
I didn't know that when I was growing up. It wasn't that way. It was, you were an actress.
So working more independently and self-promoting is something easier to do today.
It's easier to do today, maybe, if you can work on the internet, but it's also essential.
Right.
They now have, this shocked me when I heard it, at casting calls, they will specifically say must have 30,000 followers or something like that.
Right. So it's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. You have to be able to market yourself. You have to be able to be incredibly skinny or maybe a little fat. Either works, but in between, just a person, that's not so appealing. And you have to be, you have to have a lot of energy and have talents like writing and producing.
And what about the Me Too movement in terms of a shift? Were you very aware of it that these were issues back then?
This is a little controversial, I think, when I talk about it, but I will anyway. Did I have issues with it? I had low self-esteem. I was a woman. I was an actress. It was, mainly you're trying to be attractive. So I had men, but not as much as, I certainly never was raped, and I was never really chased around the room or anything. But there was always a sort of I'm trying to be so attractive that you'll fall in love with me, which, didn't really work out too well.
Yeah.
But
I think that's helpful.
when the Me Too movement came, I felt two things. I felt yay for women for finally speaking up, but I also felt the poor guys that got caught in the crossfire. There were total asshole, predators. I'm not saying that there weren't, but there were a lot of good guys who just didn't know the rules or had rules that changed. We all did. At this age, I saw, at one point in the 60s, it was all about women owning their own orgasm and, being allowed to screw as many people as they wanted. And for guys, it was like, whoa, kids in a candy shop. And suddenly the rules all changed. But that doesn't in any way mitigate the fact that I think people like Harvey Weinstein and others that shall remain nameless should be in jail. I feel bad about Al Franken.
Right. Yeah. Well, so I think that this topic is obviously, we can't talk about acting today without talking about that. And I appreciate the presentism when you speak of that things have changed so much. What was okay then is so not okay. And there were so many things that were never okay. Yes. So
exactly. And having low self-esteem, which I think is a problem for a lot of actors, but because it's love me, love me, love me all the time. And for actresses, it's even worse because we don't get paid as much, we don't get respect, we don't,
Right. So today, you are sitting in your studio next to a painting, and I'm thinking this may have been a next chapter after acting. Can you tell us a little bit about next chapters for you?
Sure. We adopted 2 daughters, and when I became a mother, I decided it just felt silly to be an actress. It just, or they say actor now. I'm not sure why that is. I liked actress, but anyway, it just felt like, it's all about I want to be at the center of attention, and with kids, that's like the last thing you can be, whether you want to be or not. So I stopped, and my husband was a successful actor, so he worked and could support us. And I started taking a painting class when my second daughter was born, and just found that I loved it. That was now 25 years ago, and I've had maybe 5 shows and sold a lot of stuff. And
Fantastic.
But mainly, when I started, it was the first time I felt like I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to make anyone love me. I like this. I like painting. I loved acting too. The acting part was great, but the business was what I hated. But with painting, I just thought, well, if I'm no good, I don't have to be good. I can just paint.
And you didn't have to leave home. You were a mom, and you didn't have to leave home to do that.
I had a studio on my porch in LA, and it was great. And I painted the kids. I've got thousands of paintings of my kids.
So did you have a teacher that you
I went
hooked
to a
on
class in LA that was really a children's painting class, so I wasn't intimidated. This was an adult class at the children's school, but it was called Mission Renaissance. And it just taught you all about light, taught you about tone, light and dark. And that's basically really all I look for in a painting is the light. Whereas I just find light magical.
But you didn't know that you were a painter when you started? You
No.
just went and started painting. Was it your late 40s or?
I was 45.
So, and the kids were how old at that point?
Sophie was 1 and Josie was 6.
Wow. Okay. So you were in your studio since then and still, right?
That's right.
We're in Martha's Vineyard, and this is a place where obviously you have tucked yourself in beautifully, and looks like a lot is being created here, and a tremendous number of series of fathers and children. Is that what you're working on right now?
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm working on right now. I did a show in my garage. Turns out you can have a gallery if you only show your own stuff on your property. So in my garage down at the bottom of the hill, I have now started a gallery. And I wasn't really ready when I did it. I just sort of jumped in. So one of the themes was father and child. The other one, a lot of what sold, in fact, was my dog Scoop, who's so popular.
Adorable. He greeted me when I got out of the car. He's just delicious.
He is delicious, and everyone loves him. And he's on Rachel Brosnahan's web, whatever you call that.
Podcast?
No, not even a podcast. Just her Instagram and Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, her social media.
Whenever she puts Scoop on, she loves Scoop. She calls him Scoop Shaloub. Whenever she puts Scoop on, she gets more responses than anything. And
All right, well, we'll take a picture of you and Scoop before we leave because we want to see what happens with Better After 50 with you and Scoop. I guess Scoop's a draw. I think you are, though. So in terms of painting, you're showing, you're selling. Is that the motivation to kind of get yourself together for a show? I mean, how do you keep yourself moving forward? Because you do this by yourself in your studio. How does that work?
it's really, I take pictures, I take photographs, and just paint what I like. And then when a show is coming up, I sort of look at what I have been doing and try to pick sort of a theme for it. I've done all of Morocco. I've done a set on a sound stage with all the people that were, the crew that was in the, because I always thought that the crews were like central casting for crews. They all look the same. And so I did a bunch of paintings of that. And I did, a black and white, the series that you saw some of downstairs.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm going to take pictures, if that's okay, of them on
Sure.
my way out so I can share them with the readers. Some of our readers may just be listening to this, others may watch the video, and some will be reading about it. So we have all different kinds of way to process or hear the visit today. In terms of Better After 50, people are feeling that life is in transition. And I think that's part of life, of course, and we all know that. For some, it's daunting, leaving behind, letting go, and moving forward. What would you say for you in the last even 5 years were the biggest transitions in your life?
Well, I'm over 70, so 50 it seems like young. By 70, you kind of really have to, it's where the pedal meets the, I'm sure people at 80 think this is absurd to be talking like you know anything, but it's where the metal hits the pedal.
Yeah, that's it.
Because you really start kind of staring at your mortality and your loss of so many things, your looks, your physical abilities, your
You have not lost your
energy.
looks.
Thank you. But, I didn't even know I was pretty. I was sort of a chubby girl when I was young, and I didn't know I was pretty until I started getting cast in these movies where I was playing the beautiful. So I finally caught up to how pretty I was. I guess we all do. We look at pictures and think, what was I thinking? I was gorgeous.
Usually 10 years later, though, unfortunately, right?
20, 30 years later. Well, so somebody once said to me, from now on, today is the best you're going to look.
I love that. Okay.
So that's what I go with. And I just feel great. I've gotten rid of so many of the things that could make me hate myself, the comparisons with others, the
Friends? Did you change your friend group at all? Did you
Not
feel that
really.
shift a little bit? No?
I have my oldest friend is since I was 13, and we're very close. My sister is my other best friend. And most of the friends I have are now at least 25 years.
It's
But then
fantastic.
I do make new friends. It's not that, I love the people on the vineyard, and this is probably my largest group of friends is
Yeah.
right here. Although neither of the people I mentioned, well, Lynn is down the road, my sister, but Jamie, my best oldest friend, lives in Spurston, New York, upstate.
Well, I saw that you had a change of habitat. I read about that, moving from LA to New York. Is that right? In the last few years? And
Yeah.
that is when we write about where do I go next? I'm an empty nester and it's a new phase. Where am I going to live now? The house is too big. Maybe the community doesn't work anymore. Maybe the change in financials, whatever it is. There's lots of reasons to make a change in home. You made a change. What was that about?
All of those things. Our kids both had moved east. We had this big house. We didn't need it. We really were tired of the traffic in LA. I could have left earlier, but Tony was working more in New York and plays and things, so we were coming to New York a lot in the winter, and it's my home. It's where I grew up. So it was not hard for me to move back. I've been LA, New York, Spain for a minute, LA, New York, LA, New York. So I think it's hard to pick the place.
Right. But
So LA, New York is almost like I didn't ever move. It's always been that. But I think change is good. I love, the main thing I know now that I'm 70 is letting go is everything. It really is.
That's a pearl. I think there's quite a few pearls you've shared with us.
Let me just tell you one letting go story.
Yes, I want it. We want it.
I've written a play. I started writing. I was writing blogs when my sister and I did this web series, which all took place on Martha's Vineyard, and it's very funny. And a woman is trying to sell it to AARP right now because it's about two old, ridiculous sisters. Anyway, when I was doing that, I was writing a blog for Huffington Post. I was really realizing that I love to write. So I started writing a play because I love plays. And I've been doing readings and and it's all been really successful, but it's like 3 years now I've been doing readings. It's so much work. I'm marketing it. I mean, I'm not marketing it. I'm calling everybody, sending the play to everybody, doing things I hate. And I suddenly thought after my last reading fiasco, it wasn't a fiasco in terms of the audience, they liked it, but in terms of just the working, it was just a lot of work for so little return, really. And there were unpleasant circumstances going on. But I came back here and I thought, I'm going to let it go. I'm just going to put it in a drawer like I did with my screenplay that I wrote and just see, let it go and keep writing because that's the part I like. So that very day when I felt it really letting go in my heart, because you say sometimes that you're letting go and you're not, I really felt like, okay, I got a call from a theater in Maryland that wants to do a reading of it. I wrote back, I'm not doing more readings.
Fantastic.
I can't cast it. And they called back and said, we'll cast it, we'll do it. All you have to do is come and watch it. We love it.
Wow.
And there's a big theater up there that may be interested in actually doing a full production. So
congratulations. So letting go opened the door
go.
for you, huh? On
it
that.
has a lot in my life. I think letting go. I mean, obviously we've all got to face the big letting go in the end. And I think that this is the most important lesson as you go along, don't you think?
I think so. I'm in the process of trying to let go. I haven't totally let go of very much though. I keep carrying it along with me, but it's great that you have. That's wonderful. That's good, and it's a
there
great
are
lesson
things
for
I
our
hang
readers.
on
Yeah.
to,
No, it's inspiring. It really is. You mentioned Tony, and I didn't start with Tony. Your husband has an enormous career as well. And I've seen his most recent Broadway show, Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about
The band's visit.
the band's
Wasn't
visit?
that the greatest
Phenomenal.
show ever?
It deserved. How many Tonys did it win? I don't know. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I just and in Mrs. Maisel, he had a fantastic role, and so many more. What is it is it like to be? I mean, maybe this is just your whole life, but just for our readers, being married, having an acting career, knowing acting yourself and your husband, also, being an actor and having this amazing success. Just share a little bit of your thoughts on that.
It's been. Somebody the other day said, "How is it that you've managed to appreciate Tony's work and not be jealous or something?" And I said, "Well, for the first 25 years of our marriage, I was jealous, and now in the last 2, I'm okay." So it's again letting go. It takes a while.
Yeah, that is so honest, and I really appreciate hearing that. It seems very normal what you just said.
Well, I mean, it's crazy. Tony's getting awards. We're going to the Emmys next week, which is why we're leaving here. And I hate going to these things. I mean, if I were nominated, it would be different. But I'm Tony's little bride, and like sometimes Tony says this isn't true, and it probably isn't. But I always imagine that they're going, "Could you step aside for a minute?" So they can get a picture of Tony, or "Tony, who are you with?" So that bothers me. Tony says that's not the way it is, and he might be right.
But that's what you hear, and that's what you
I
feel. So it's your reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something changed at 70.
Wow. Well, we have something. Those who are just turning 50, that would not be me. It honestly, it seems to always be something to look forward to, which is a gift. And I think that I could talk to Brooke forever, and I plan to now that we've met, and follow her paintings and her transitions, and I guess learn from her, because she has some wise words for BA 50s. I'm going to come over and thank you. Thank you so much. I did not want to take the screen. She's so beautiful. You're beautiful. Your work is beautiful, and your wisdom is something we all can profit from. So listen up, BA 50s. We have much to learn. Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun. Oh.